Hey everybody, I hope you guys are all doing okay. I hope you guys are enjoying your holidays. We are on the verge of a new year, and we are also close to another big milestone for Siralim Ultimate, because this game is going to be getting a pretty massive update somewhere in the first quarter of the next year. Now, I made a video ages ago when the update was first announced, and back then I was just speculating on what may or may not get changed or added. And this time around, we do have a lot more details from the dev about what's going to be in and about how long it's going to take. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Hang on, just give me a moment. Sorry about that. I just had my jacket on the chair behind me and it was making a annoying crinkly sound every time I was leaning back. I don't know if you could hear it. Anyway, don't even worry about that. So, like I said, in this little update on the update, we're going to be talking about the update. And in fact, there's a few different things that I need to talk about overall, and probably a few different videos that I need to make. Because you may or may not be aware, on my channel I am also doing a 100% playthrough of Siralim Ultimate, which is still in progress. So I needed to talk about how the update is going to potentially affect that, because this is a huge game. And initially I was thinking about just doing everything in one video, but I think it's going to be better to separate it out. That way people who are interested in the series can specifically go to that second video, which I'll record probably in a few weeks, just to see how the playthrough is going, how the update is going to change things, and just generally be reassured that I am on top of things and I'm still going to be doing that 100%. In this video though, it's just going to be a video about hyping up this game, and especially the update. And without further ado, I think it's time to start taking a look at it. Now, initially, I was thinking I'll just take some notes or some screenshots, but then I was like, you know what? Why not just go straight to the source? That is straight to the Discord where the developer puts out their announcements. And, you know, there's other stuff going on in the Discord as well, but this is what we're going to be looking at. Just so you know that everything I'm talking about is legit. It isn't fake news. No, this is proper, on-the-ground journalism that I'm doing here. So, we'll go in reverse chronological order. I guess there's no reason to do it that way. It's just easier to do it that way because by default it throws me to the bottom of the page. And what we see at the bottom is the developer wishing everybody safe and happy holidays. Very considerate. And also saying what I just mentioned, that Siralim Ultimate 2.0, that by itself is pretty daunting, because you know that the 2.0 is reserved for only the most serious of updates. Usually it's 1.4, 0.5, 0.7, alpha, B, version 3C. Like the 2.0, you know, the leading integer only changes if there's something very, very important contained in that update, and as you'll see, it is indeed warranted for this one. So now let's look at the some of the meat of what's being added to the game. There's going to be a thing called Ethereal Realms. To be honest, I've read this description a few times, and I'm still not sure how it's going to work. Understandable. It's probably going to be one of those things where you have to play the game just to figure out how it's going to work. So it is a roguelite-inspired endgame mode where you can't rely on your creatures to fight for you. Instead, You begin each run by choosing from one of 5 new creatures, exclusive new creatures. They evolve based on decisions made during. Okay, so it's. Now that I'm reading it again, I think what the developer is trying to say that it's gonna be kind of like the Binding of Isaac, where you start your run fresh, and then it changes based on the power-ups you get, stuff like that. Evolve them up to 4 times and earn the right to take them out of the Ethereum realms and into the main game. Interesting. An entirely new cast of 155 never before seen creatures. This that's pretty crazy. But there's more. There's more. System is packed with. Okay, that's just. Okay. The developer is being deliberately vague, so we'll wait. At some point, we'll have more information about what's going to be in these. But already, a whole new game mode. Well, not a game mode, but a whole new sort of game within a game almost. It seems like is being introduced. Okay, but that's not all. This final paragraph in this update, like this one, it kind of scared me a little bit because if you've been playing this video game, you know that false gods are a big part of the current endgame, but false gods also get pretty easy to beat. The more you play, the more you refine your build. And the developer looked at that. He's like, I'm not having that. I'm gonna add something that's really gonna challenge the players. So we're gonna have ascended gods and ascended false gods. They're not just harder versions with increased stats. They're completely different fights with new traits, and you're gonna have to think about how to take them down. Each ascended god and false god also comes with its own unique sprite, and you'll be able to unlock these sprites as skins for your avatars. Alright. And other interesting rewards. I love it when there are cosmetics as rewards for doing big things, because then when you apply the cosmetic, every time you see it, it reminds you of that awesome thing you did. So a lot in this one post, a lot to digest, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Oop, accidentally clicked off, but I'm back on. Alright. So this was I don't know if I mentioned that there's going to be new game modes, but there's going to be new game modes, and one of them is going to be Iron Man mode. This apparently is the dev's favorite game mode. The core concept is simple. It's permadeath. If your party's wiped out, it's game over. You're gonna have to disable story mode, okay. Some features unlocked, but without any story content, alright. You started realm level 1, alright. Each realm can only be entered once, so you can't stay in realms you've already cleared just to farm them. No, you're gonna have to be always progressing. Yeah, exactly. The dev said what I just said, which would otherwise trivialize the challenge of this mode. Iron Man pairs well with the other game modes. You can use easy. Okay, so you could play Ruthless Iron Man if you wanted to. And we're gonna get, if you're wondering what the hell is Ruthless mode, we'll get to that. Don't even worry about it. We'll get to that. I have some thoughts about Ruthless mode, and oh yeah, there's randomizer modes as well. And don't forget, you can now start the game with any specialization, adding even more replayability. Finally, I'm also hoping that let players set their randomized seed to whatever they want. That way your friends can play the same seed. So kind of, again, Isaac situation. Like you find a really fun seed, you send it to your friend, or you make a video about it, and then other people can play that too. That's a nice little touch. There's a post about backer content. We are way past December 15th, so this may not be applicable, so I think we'll skip that. Yes, here's more, another post about some changes to the game, and these changes are pretty pretty huge. So a new text engine, text looks better, performs better. I mean that's fine, you know, and improving the text, making the game look better, always nice. The stuff about saving and loading, and this thing especially. Now this is huge. Now let's read this, and then I actually have the game open. If you're hearing music in the background, that's because the game is open, and I guess as a bonus, there's a bit of a background music to this little lecture that I'm giving. Let's read these posts. Saving the game is now done asynchronously, meaning the game won't freeze while you're waiting to save. This improves exporting times as well. This is especially noticeable for late game players, because I think late game players have the most stuff that the game has to save, because I think the entire thing is saved and then loaded as well. And there's a cache system, which means subsequent save loads take less time when you restart the game. That's huge. Excuse me. But this one, it might seem innocuous, but this one is the one that's the biggest one for me. Having too many decorations in your castle no longer causes the game to take significantly longer to save and load. Now, I'm going to demonstrate what the dev is talking about. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, let me switch over to the game. I have an older test file of mine active. This isn't my main file, because I don't want to accidentally give spoilers about stuff that I've been doing for my series. So, when the game saves, you'll see it. Sometimes it even feels like it freezes, because it can take quite a while, but then eventually it'll save. And I noticed this when I was playing, when I started adding cosmetic items and decorations to the castle, is that the more decorations that I added, the longer these save times took. And that made me feel a little bad, because like adding decorations is a big thing for me. In fact, I've had multiple episodes in my playthrough where the entire episode is just about adding decorations and like doing renovations, so to speak. There's aside from just having decorations, you can, like, if somebody's like really wants to have a Spartan mentality and like they're like no decorations, nothing other than, you know, things that give me gameplay benefits and game completion. There's a practical reason to this as well, is that every time the Goblet of Trials is re-rolled, and the Goblet of Trials re-rolling, or like completing the Goblet of Trials rather, is very important for gaining piety, which is a, you know, important game currency, and also for Rune of Prophecies stuff. As you can see though, every time I re-roll it, similar to when I was saving the game freezes, and then eventually the game will re-roll it. And the reason is because of that thing that you just saw fade out in the bottom left, is that every time this happens, the game saves as well. So if saves are quicker, then that means this process will be quicker, and that's gonna be huge for me. What else? Realm generation is now instant. Oh, sorry. I should go back to the browser to read the rest of this. Realm generation is now instant. Battles have been heavily improved. In particular, party builds that produced an excessive amount of battle history entries should no longer impact performance. This might be relevant. I assume it applies to enemy parties as well. So this is again another welcome change. Turbo mode is even faster. Love it. Fog of War has been revamped. Better aesthetics, but also improved performance. And I think if we keep scrolling up, there's going to be an example of what the new Fog of War looks like. There's a... yeah, again, we're way past December 9th. And here's another game mode called Royal Mode, where you can play as the Royal specialization, and you can get anointments far earlier than normal. So the Royal, basically, it's a fun endgame oriented game mode where you just mix and match the abilities of the other classes to create like really awesome build synergies that wouldn't work if you were just playing one class. They only work because you're using what's called Anointments to take the abilities of other classes and fold them in. Now, you can do this to an extent with any class. You get, I think, 5 Anointments, but the Royal has like way more than the usual amount of Anointments. And there's more details about how this is going to work. Every story boss and nether boss will give you Anointments. The number, though, is subject to change. And then you... like... the moment you get like 2 or 3 good Anointments, you can just bust things wide open. But yeah, this is going to be fun. I'll have to give that a go. Here's another huge post. These are 2 stretch goals, so good job. Good job to the backers for getting us over the line for Netherstone Fusion and Corrupted Netherstones. Now, Netherstone Fusion is an interesting... I don't know how much I'll do this because I think I'm way too risk averse. Basically, you take one Netherstone that has some things you want and another stone that has some things you want, you fuse them together for a chance to have a super Netherstone that has both of those things in one stone, which is obviously makes it more valuable, but there's no guarantee of what you're going to end up with. As awesome as it is, I know my own personality. I'm probably never going to use this because I'm just way too risk. I guess you could abuse the system by like crashing the game or like having your cloud saves, like backup saves, and if it doesn't work out the way you want, but you wouldn't do that. Like, I mean, I wouldn't do that because that's at that point, why not just edit the game files and just give myself the exact Netherstone that I want? Right? It's not going to be a fun way to play, but yeah, it's a high risk, high reward situation. I might do some of it. We'll see. If I find 2 different stones with the exact same good trait, I'll think about it. Corrupted Netherstones, that's another huge thing. Because they have a chance to roll with Anointments. Not just Anointments, but Ascended Anointments. Now, this, I mean, is a... this is a game changer. Because normally you're limited by many things, but the biggest limit is on the number of Anointments, because I think you can only have 5 for normal classes. If you happen to find one good Anointment, like Burn Their Corpses, which is one of my favorites, or what was that? Like a Dreadnought, I think, the one that means your attacks can never miss. You find something like that on another stone, and that just frees up an entire Anointment slot. Completely just changing your outlook and a whole other type of like rare loot, valuable rare loot to look out for. That's again, my mind is already just like the possibilities are endless. And before I go down this rabbit hole too much, just imagining the kinds of builds that I could make with Anointments on Netherstones, let's move on and see what else is happening. There's somebody generously donated the design 5 creatures from the backer shop. Okay, so that means we're gonna be getting new creatures. Probably the dev isn't gonna announce what the creatures are exactly in the updates, because I'm guessing they want to keep it as a reveal that's delivered in-game. But, you know, that's, again, a hint of things to come. Alright, here you have an update about the game being made more accessible to colorblind players, which is good, and some of the stuff, like some of the high contrast stuff, might just make the game look better just generally. So again, some good stuff. And we have hotkeys. All right, that's nice. That's nice. And another backer shop update. Again, I think we're past this deadline. And here's a post about the dev talking about, I think initially the update was meant to come out at the end of the year, but because of like the massive overhaul that they're doing to the game, which I think it's worth the time and the effort, but because of that they've had to push it forward. So now we read later down that it's going to be Q1, or it's likely to be Q1 based on the most recent estimate. And the dev also mentioned that there's going to be an improved fog of war. This is what it's going to look like now. So instead of just like tiles and squares, we've got a more organic looking fog of war situation. Oh yeah, and there's also going to be weather effects in realms. That's I guess with the improved performance from all the other things, the dev felt like they could get away with the weather effects. I'm down for it. Oh yeah, and weather effects are gonna be decorations as well. I completely skipped this when I first read this. That's awesome. God, I'm already imagining like the cool like types of rooms that you could make if you're combining weather effects with other decorations. God, that's awesome. Here's another screenshot preview for how the fog of war is gonna look. That looks really nice. And here is another huge update. This one does actually have an impact on how my series is gonna go, but I'm gonna talk about it when I put out the video about how the update is going to affect my playthrough specifically. But one thing, let's open this image up and get a larger look at it. So I guess that there's no reason, we can just read the text because it explains what's going on. Currently each card can only be found once, but with the upcoming patch, you'll be able to find more of them. And the reason this is a good thing is because, I guess, let's take a look at this, is because for every card that you have a small stat bonus. But because the card drops stop once you found all of the cards once, this stops scaling, and then it feels kind of sad because it's like, oh, these bonuses are never going to improve. But now, because you can find the duplicates, that means you will always be scaling slightly by finding cards just passively. So another way to get slightly stronger as you go. The card bonus, however, that's going to be unaffected by how many duplicates you have. So that's a lovely improvement. And then a new currency called Glamour that can be used to buy decorations that were previously available as loot and that I guess you weren't able to find. Yeah, another way for players to get things as opposed to having to farm them, I guess. Or maybe there might even be some exclusive things that you can only get from this shop. And a new currency. Looks cool. Obtained through all normal sources of loot, so just like another regular type of currency. Okay, so Animus and Herblings as creatures in your party, even if You're not using the corresponding specializations. Alright. Sounds nice. And you can unlock the Animator and Grove Tender Anointments. I mean, that makes sense. There was never any reason to have these be off limits. And then False Godspawn have been unlocked. Extremely late game creatures that have traits that massively influence the way you'll approach your team. Some of them really bend the rules. Here are some examples. Limitless Flux. Creatures' actions are processed one at a time rather than all at once. That could have some huge ramifications given how the game works. Nether Siphon. This creature gains the benefits of its allies' relic perks, but those creatures no longer receive benefits from their own relics. Ooh. This could be pretty good for maybe like a Tanukruk build where he kills his own party so they're not even alive. So now not only does he have all their stats, but he also has all their relics. Could be fun. False Pompadour. Creature gains the benefits from your other creature's fuse traits, but those... Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean about bending the rules. False God... okay, but here's a huge asterisk here, that False Gods aren't going to be in the next patch, but in the patch after the next patch. It's because False Gods are first getting a pretty big overhaul, and the False God spawn will only work right with those changes. Makes sense. And the randomizer mode, that's nice. I think we already looked at that. Chiptune versions of every Siralim song. Alright, I'm a big fan of chiptune. With these songs come new audio options. Yeah, I guess we can play a little bit. Alright, I think that's enough. I don't want to... It probably won't be an issue, but I don't want to trigger any potential copyright detection. But yeah, that's another nice little thing. Alright. Update. I think this is just talking about the things taking longer than expected, okay? And then now the Fusion UI has an inspector window giving you an enlarged preview of each fusion before your final decision. Right, and you can view the overworld sprites for each fusion. That's a nice little touch. And then there's a new color palette, I guess. A new palette will be available for all fusions. This one looks the most natural out of all the options, and it has a tendency to produce some nice looking creatures. The new palette, bottom left. So this one. You know, I'm down for it, because fusion palettes sometimes produce really good things, but sometimes there's just no good option or from the ones that you get to pick, and you're like, man, or you like it, but it's just not, or the colors are just slightly off. So this one could be really nice for just fiddling around with the look of your party, which I'm, as if you've watched my series, you know, I'm deeply obsessed with how my party looks. Alright, let's take a look at this. Doubles the spawn rate of exotic portals and introduces a brand new currency. Stardust drops from exotic creatures, and now you can buy any exotic creature in the game from Nethermancer Ned. So you can summon more of them without having to, I guess, find that exact exotic portal again. I like that. I like that. Stardust can also be used as part of a new mission called Nether Synthesis, which rewards you with a Nether Stone upon completion. Oh, so I think I know what I'm going to be doing with my Stardust. Right. Iron Man mode has been unlocked. Right? I think we talked about that. I think we talked about this. Favorite your items. All right. Then you can sort your inventory so your favorite items are always at the front. Great change. ability to change the in-game font to a smoother one. All right. Could be. Listen, as long as it isn't Comic Sans, I think it could work out pretty well. Menagerie duels have been unlocked. Iron Man mode, I think we talked about this. I'm not sure menagerie duels are. There's probably one of these posts will mention it. It's another just post about how the update is going. And the farther back we go, we'll be going into like the very early announcements where the dev is just talking about the stretch goals which have already been met. So at a certain point I think we're just gonna have to call this video good, but there is one specific thing that I want to get to. So there's sandbox mode, alright. Start the game with all items, creatures, decorations, and this is going to be a great mode for doing testing. So yeah, that's important. There's one other thing. Here we go. Here we go. This is what I wanted to get to. Another content goal has been unlocked. We're adding an ultra hard version of the game called Ruthless mode, and the opposite called Easy mode. And then there's a sandbox mode which has already been unlocked. So Ruthless mode, I think the dev said that it was inspired by the hard mode from Path of Exile. I forgot what that one is called. But I mean, it's fine that it exists in the game. I just like I have some thoughts and feelings about this. So this game is difficult enough by itself. But there are people, and I see sometimes, I see them posting in on Reddit, or well less on Reddit, but more like in this Discord. Like they've come up with some really tricked out build and they're destroying everything, and then they're like, "Oh, this game is too easy. It should be harder." It's like, dude, no. Just no. Like, this is one of the most difficult games I've played. And if you've played this game, especially if you're trying to get started, because the early game in Siralim is so difficult, right? It's so difficult, right? And if you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. Now imagine somebody who goes through that, who plays that, and their main takeaway is that they go through that and what they leave with is, oh, this game is too easy. It's just imagine such a person, if you can. It's just mind-boggling. You know, the worst thing is that like these people exist and they vote, which frankly I think like it just sickens me. But anyway, now that these people have their own hard mode version of the game, which they can play and leave the rest of us alone to have fun, and you know, hopefully they'll stop complaining about how easy this game is. So anyway, I will not be playing hard mode because I feel like the game's current iteration is hard enough and arguably too hard in some ways. Anyway, that's ramble over, and the farther back we go, we get to the early content goals, and I think we are done with the big updates, the updates that I wanted to talk about. So we are gonna wrap things up. As the dev mentioned, it's not gonna be right away that this update comes out. It's gonna be more like sometime in the first quarter of the next year. And when the update does come out, most likely I'll be doing a follow-up video. But I mainly wanted to do this one just kind of like to hype people up. Not that I think, you know, it's needed that much, because all you need to do is know that this update exists and read it, and that'll do the hyping up for you. But, you know, I know that people are busy, they might not necessarily be following things religiously. There might be people who started playing the game, but then took a break because there was some quality of life thing that was bugging them, which is getting fixed in this update, but they just don't know about it because they haven't seen it yet. This is more just a way to let people know that as the thumbnail says, that big things are coming. On a final note, I mentioned that there was another video I needed to make about how it's going to affect my playthrough, and I'm going to make that. But what I forgot to mention is that there is actually a third video that I need to make, and which I've been wanting to make for a while, which is about how Siralim Ultimate, no joke, is, in my opinion, one of the greatest games of all time. I think I'll wait until the update comes out to make that video, because it's gonna not only add some amazing content, but it's gonna fix a lot of the performance and quality of life issues that were maybe giving some new players a hard time. But I genuinely do believe that this game is outstanding. And if you're watching this video and you've never heard of this game, you've never played it, I do recommend checking it out. If you have played this game, but you kind of fell off the wagon, I do highly recommend getting back into it. Because when the update drops, it's going to add a lot of new things. And at least for me, it's going to be helpful to be a little acclimated to the game before getting a whole bunch of, you know, like literally game-changing changes dropped all at once. But, like, you know, it's up to you. What have I done? I need it. What have I done? Oh, is it back? It's back. Okay. Sorry, I got rid of the thing somehow. Anyway, I guess let's fade this out and just put this back in, because as it says, big things are coming. If you've just to repeat myself, if you haven't played this game, do check it out. If you have played this game but you're like, oh, you know, there were things that bothered you, there's a good chance that this update is going to fix them, or possibly improve the game so much that you'll be drawn back in. And if you are playing the game, then let's you and I just be hyped up about the next update together. And on that note, I think it's time for me to say thank you so much for watching. Hope this was an informative video for you. Hope you learned a few things. Hope you got a bit excited about what's to come. And I hope to talk to you some more about this when the update does drop. But until then, do take care.